Hey guys, thanks for joining me. And if you like what you see, please subscribe.
Hello, peoples. Welcome to Sharp End. So I got a Mayberry custom. This is a custom maker that sells off of Instagram. I don't think he even has a website. And I put in a request for him to make me one, and my number finally came up. And I didn't know if I could afford this, so I ended up selling several other knives just so that I knew that I could add this to my collection, making it the most expensive knife I have in my collection at this point. There's some very cool features about this custom-made, handmade knife that I really want to go over with you in this review. But first, I'm going to ask you to smash that like button, leave a comment. It really helps the channel. And as always, thank you to my Patreon supporters. So first off, this looks like a button lock, but it's not. It's a compression lock. The compression lock obviously was made famous by Spyderco, especially in their paramilitary 2. And I absolutely love the paramilitary 2. This one has been, modified by me and is S90V blade. I really like this with this brass scales here. But what makes this so strong is, like, unlike a liner lock where it locks the bottom, it locks the top of the blade, and it is super, super, super strong. It's nothing is going to break that. Maybe if you baton it and but why would you baton with a knife like this? But this is not going to fail on you in any kind of usual use. So yeah. The second thing that really reminds me about the paramilitary 2 is the ergonomics. Do you see how this has a nice line here, but it has a nice choke up point there? And you can also hold it back here, but it has that nice choke up point. And that's kind of what's going on here too, where you almost always want to choke up on this knife. You can hold it back here, but it feels really good in the hand and almost makes it an extension of your hand when you choke up on it, especially with this nice little jimping on top, which is nicely rounded over, and the crown is nicely rounded over too. So the ergonomics on this work really well, and the clip is milled, obviously, and just, disappears back here in the fold next to your pinky. It doesn't, there's no hot spot with it. And you're never going to accidentally push, like, there's no way, like when I'm going to hold this and grip really tight, the button is not in any place where you're accidentally going to engage it and disengage the lock. It's just not going to happen. Now the detent on this is perfect, like you just saw me closing that. I mean, it flicks open really nicely. And with an expanded slot like this, that means you can kind of make the detent the way you want. If you flick down close, the detent is nice and soft, and if you flick it up high, it's kind of hard. And it just drops shut absolutely perfectly. That's one of the things that I love about a compression lock, is that in a way when you're releasing this, you don't have to push it down really hard and just let it go. In a way, you add a little bit of resistance where you want it. And so like that, I can just, adjust how much I want to let go of the button, and it'll just kind of slow down or not. And I really like that very fidgety factor. Now you can't open this with your thumb, but it's much more of a finger flicker than anything else. And speaking of materials now, this pattern here was custom. I asked him for a synthwave themed knife. Okay, well, that's easy enough, right? Like, how are you going to get these grooves in here? These were all custom lines that he had to actually put in there to make it look right, because none of the lines really, because it's synthwave, the lines are organic, even though it looks very geometric. It's not. So you had to go in there, and I really like how he made the sun, because usually in synthwave you usually have a sun. You have these lines here, and then you have the pivot acting as the sun, and I think that's a really cool little detail on both sides here. So I like the color scheme too. It fades from this nice purple to this almost peach color, which I really like. And in the middle, it's kind of transitions through this pink. So, that anodization, how he did that, I'm not sure, but it looks absolutely stunning. And the machining on this is just impeccable, perfect all the way around. This is done with a CEC machine, which he made himself or put together himself. And so he machines these parts out and then finishes them by hand and assembles it by hand. Another point I'd like to put out there is that he says in the literature, when you get it, this right here, which is the stop for the blade, is actually asymmetric, meaning that it's thicker on one side and thinner on another, and a gradual in between, so that when he puts it together, by turning this, he's able to get it to just be absolutely perfect and where you want it. So he says in the disassembly instructions, don't take this out. Like, you need to know where that is because I've tuned this to be exactly where it needs to be. And I think that that's a really, I've just never seen that in a knife, and I think it's really cool. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but like having that micro adjustment so that you get the detent just right just seems like a really great no-brainer. Like, it's just absolutely awesome. Now, of course, the lock is pushing against the side of the blade, but it is perfectly centered in there. Just absolutely perfect. Now, the steel on this is actually AABL. I requested that special, and I haven't even mentioned the fact that this is hollow grind yet. So this is usually made out of MagnaCut, which is a great steel, all around steel and everything. So why did I specifically want AABL? Because I find it easier to sharpen. I find it easier to maintain once it's sharp. And with a hollow grind, AABL is really good at taking very sharp or angles for the sharpening. So it's made for a razor blade. So you can get it really thin there. And that's what it is right now. With a hollow grind, in combination with that, makes this so extremely thin behind the edge. And the blade shape itself, where you have this long flat part, which is good for almost any kind of cut you're going to make, but also the nice big belly so that I can push down and cut with the tip and still have a lot of leverage with my hand. Rather than this, I can't really do that with this because it's so pointed, right? So that blade shape too makes it a little bit more utilitarian as well as looking sexy, in my opinion. And overall, like, the ergos of this, like I said, really remind me of this. But if you are like, oh, so the compression lock on this one is for the finger, right? Like for a right-handed person, right? Like, I'm pushing in here, right, to get that to engage. But this is for the thumb. And I think a lot of people now have made it for the thumb rather than for the finger. Like, they've reversed it up on Spyderco. Spyderco doesn't have a compression lock on the other side for the thumb. They only do it for the pointer finger. I find that interesting too. But if you're like, hey, I don't want to spend $800 on a knife, but I really want to check out a compression lock, that kind of looks cool, I would suggest looking at the Raccoon, which is a $50 knife or $60 knife. This is Vosteed, and they do an amazing job. And their detent is no slouch either. I mean, and with the thumb studs, you can easily open with a thumb and with a finger. Very recommendable, the Raccoon or the Porcupine, which looks even more sexy, and I believe it's closer to a $70 knife, and has this great wire clip, which is, I like wire clips. I know some people scoff at them, but the finishing on this is great. And both of these come in a lot of different colors and models. But I would suggest that you get a Vosteed compression lock version if you're really interested in experiencing a compression lock, because they're honestly, like, for pocket knives, I think they're my favorite type of lock. A plunge lock or a button lock doesn't have the same action and will break on you. Whereas a compression lock is a liner lock where it's going to totally engage and be really nice, and I like that. One other nice thing about this is this is not sandwich construction. This is the nested liners that are in here. Whereas, the Vosteed, very nice, but this is sandwich construction where you've got the liners and then you've got the scales planted on top. So it's not nested, right? But still works really, really well. I will say the Raccoon is nested, whereas the Porcupine is not. But yeah. So overall, what do I think? I think that spending this kind of much money and being able to talk to the guy and Andy to like take my concept and design and make it his own as well as my own was just incredible. And I gave him kind of a hard. How do you make a knife that is synthwave themed? And he did a really good job. I enjoy wearing t-shirts which are kind of like that older or 80s 90s synthwave style. Like I enjoy that kind of styling. So this was like a no-brainer for me. And being able to just ask for it and for him to deliver, ooh, so sweet. This is now one of the best knives, if not the best knife in my collection, and I really enjoy carrying it. It's just so sharp and so nice, and it feels so great in the hand. So absolute win. I would highly suggest you go to Instagram, look up his knives. He has a couple of other models too, and just look at all the variation that he's gotten from all the different people who have asked for different themes and different finishes. Absolutely stunning. While you're on Instagram, follow me there too. If you ever want to message me, you can obviously reach me at my email address, but Instagram, I'm on my DMs there all the time talking to makers and other people. So it's a good way to message me in a texting type format. So very worth it. And also, a lot of these makers are also on Instagram. So if you have any questions or anything, I haven't met one maker of knives that is a American maker of knives that I haven't been able to reach out, DM, and them not respond with lengthy comments. They all want to talk about what they do, and that's absolutely awesome. So take advantage of that. If you don't have an Instagram account, it's worth having a knife Instagram account at least, so that you can show off your knives and talk to some of the people out there who are in this space. Makers are great, and by and large, they all want to talk about their work. So thank you so much for joining me today. Really enjoyed showing off this HDM. Super, super cool. And I will talk to you guys next time. But turn on notifications, like, subscribe, leave a comment, helps the channel. As always, thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys are the best.